Hey guys, my name is Ethan, this is Carberra, and welcome to what is technically a follow-up to the video I did a few days ago talking about, the demise of Discord.py. There are a number of different alternatives out there already, so there are a few forks of Discord.py. You could switch to a different language entirely, or there is another option that has been kind of in development for some time that I'm going to show you today called Hikari. Now, a number of you have probably already heard of Hikari, especially those that have been active in the Carberra space over the last few months. So we actually started the transition process to Hikari a few months ago. So we've kind of been looking at Hikari for the last few months on the channel. I've got a lot of stream VODs and everything. I wasn't originally going to do a video until it was out, in a stable form, but obviously Discord.py has kind of, forced people's hands about, they have to find alternatives now. So I'm going to be showing you what is objectively the best one, and I will have a separate video talking about all the different reasons why Hikari is so good. But for now, I'm just going to be showing you the syntax and how it works, and also give you a few resources that you can look at as well. Of course, if you find the video helpful at any point, then consider liking it to let me know, and subscribe so you don't miss out on future videos like this. But yeah, with that out of the way, let's get into it. So I want to quickly explain what this video is going to be before we actually get into it. This is just going to be a real quick introduction to Hikari and its two main command handlers. So we are actually going to be comparing the two. Lightbulb and Tangent. For that reason, and for the sake of brevity, I'm not actually going to be coding anything in this video. I'm just going to be showing you some examples that I've already written, and we're also going to be running the bots and testing them so you can see how they work. I mean, the examples are both the same, the functionality is identical, to make the comparison a bit easier. But I do want to say that this video uses a development version of Hikari. This is not the full stable version. Dev 101, which is the release that you'll end up installing, is largely stable. It is the last majorly breaking change planned. Stable is released in the 22nd of November, or is expected, sorry, in the 22nd of November. I was going to wait before doing videos on Hikari and just leave it at the streams for now until the stable was out, and then Discord.py happened and everyone is looking to switch now. So I'm just making this video as a supplementary until the series properly comes out at some point in December. So if you are interested in watching that series, then make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on that. But yeah, I'm actually going to start going over everything now. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is the requirements. So I've just got these requirement files here. So the first thing you'll need is Hikari, and then you'll need to specify 2.0.0.dev101. Actually, I'm not sure you do. Because it's still the latest version, because there isn't a stable one out. So it might just, if you do pip install Hikari, you might just do that. This speedups in brackets essentially installs a few extra libraries to make Hikari go even faster. So anyone that's installed Discord.py voice stuff, it's the same syntax. Works the same, but it just installs a few extra things to make it run faster. Then if you're using Lightbulb, you'll need Hikari Lightbulb. The latest version at the time of video release is 1.1.0. And then at the time this video is being made, Tangent doesn't have a stable release yet. This is using the unreleased version 2.0.0 Alpha 1. So if ultimate stability is what you want, then I'd probably stick with Lightbulb for the time being. However, this is I think this is fairly stable. I don't think there's going to be enormous changes in it. But yeah, I just wanted to let you know. Again, this video came out earlier than I would have liked, but I kind of want to help smooth the transition because so many people are making the move. And then if you're on Unix, there is actually something else. So there is UV loop. So UV loop is sort of, I guess in layman's terms, an alternative to async IO. I almost said async IO, but I didn't. It's just a faster implementation, but it's only available on Unix systems. So Linux, Mac OS can do it. If you're on Windows, then you can't use it and you'll just need to install these. But yeah, UV loop if you're on Linux or Mac OS, or if you're like me on WSL, then it works just fine. So we're going to start with the Lightbulb bot. And the thing I would say before we get into the Lightbulb bot is that these examples only cover / commands. If you want standard commands like the exclamation mark prefix or whatever, just kind of while you're porting everything over to Hikari and then work on / commands later, I would recommend using Lightbulb because the standard plugin system is basically identical to the cog system from Discord.py to the extent that I'm not even going to bother showing it in this video because it's that similar. If you do need help transitioning, of course the servers are there because there are a few minor differences, but largely speaking it's been designed to make the transition from Discord.py to Hikari as smooth as possible. That was Lightbulb's entire purpose. So yeah, if you want standard message commands, then I would recommend using Lightbulb. But these examples are going to be going over / commands. So if you're thinking of implementing those now, then the comparison would be more valuable to you. But with Lightbulb, we're going to go over how to create a bot anyway, so it will be somewhat helpful for people wanting message commands for now. So in this folder we have an init, which it just contains the version number and the guild ID. You'll want to change this to your guild's ID. These bots aren't single server bots at all, but there is a reason why we're specifying a guild ID, and I'll get into that in a second. And then you have the main, which is the equivalent to like a launcher.py. So if you've watched my series before and you see a launcher.py, this main just does the same thing. You just run it slightly differently. We will be running them later, so you'll see. But you can put all this in a launcher.py if it's more convenient for you. So in this we import OS from import lib, import module, and from path lib, import path, and then we import Hikari and Lightbulb. I haven't actually installed everything to my virtual environment yet, which is why I'm getting errors for installs and stuff. So it comes down here first, and it checks to see if the operating system is a Unix operating system, or more specifically, if it's not NT. Because if it's not NT, then this will work. If it is NT, then you can't use it. But there is really no point in kind of just leaving this code out or commenting. You might as well just have an if statement. So if you swap, from Windows to Linux a lot, you don't have to worry about it. And then we actually create a bot and then run it. So when we're creating a bot, we load a secrets.token file. That is here. So this token file down here. And then we just grab the token from that. It's easy enough to do. We create a bot with our token, with our prefix as well. So you can have whatever prefix. And our intents. I'm just using all of the intents for this because it's just easy to work with. And then all this stuff is loading in / commands. If you're loading in standard message commands, you don't need to go through all this. There is Sorry, my voice keeps going and I really don't know why. But if you're loading extensions / plugins / what are cogs in Discord.py, there is a method to do that. It's exactly the same. I think it's load extension and the syntax is identical. It's just with / commands that you need to do this because there isn't really any standard function to load them all in yet. And you'll see what I mean like while we're having to do this when I show you the actual / commands. And then for each one you add the / command and you return the bot. So in our commands, which are called commands, we have 2 to quickly go over. So this one is a dice command. So as you can see, this is actually sort of done like cogs. So you call the class what you want the command to be called. So if we name this class dice like we have done here, the / command will be dice. I don't think there's a way to rename it. I don't know. You might be able to overload one of these properties to do so. But the name is automatically determined from the class name. And in this particular example, the file name also needs to be the name of the / command due to the way it loads everything in. So just keep that in mind. So we have this series of options here. So this creates 3 options, one of which called number, the other which called size, the other which called bonus. So it's essentially a D&D roller, pretty much. And for each command option, you have the name, the description, which is the help text, the type, which is the type of variable it's expecting. So Discord actually provides some verification for this. So if you pass in a string, Discord just won't let you send the / command. You don't have to do any verification for types because Discord will do it for you, which is quite nice. And then this is required equals true, tells Discord that it's necessary to have. The others are the same, except they have is required equals false. There's an extra line, I don't know why. And this basically means that you don't need to pass the arguments at all. You can just leave it be. So these 3 are kind of the same, and you pass them as a list, essentially. And then you have this description, which is the help text for the command. So whereas in Discord.py, I think you'd have the command handler like name equals whatever, and then help equals that. This is that, and you'll see what I mean. The enabled guilds is a little weirder. So this is what I was talking about with the guild ID before. So / commands can either be global or I'm not sure if local is the correct term, but I'm going to refer to it as local. If they are global, they can be used in any guild. However, you may need to wait up to an hour for them to propagate properly. The API is really weird like that. I don't know if that's going to be changing. but it's a big old weight, which means for testing it's terrible. However, if you pass a single guild ID, or I think you can pass multiple guild IDs actually. In this case, I'm just passing a single one. But the commands will be registered immediately, and you'll be able to use them straight away, which is really good for testing. So that's why we've done this. It's just like an API, I suppose a limitation of the API. It might be a standard, or it might be an intentional, design choice, which I think it probably is. But in my opinion, it's a limitation. So, we're just having to do all this stuff. If you want the command to be global, you would set this to none instead. So you get rid of this and you'd set this to none, and that will work fine. And you have to do that on a per command basis in Lightbulb, which is important to remember. And the callback is what happens when the command is actually invoked. So these 3 lines here are just getting the values. There isn't really like a ctx.number at the moment. I think that is planned at some point. Hey there, editing me jumping in real quick. While I was editing this video, version 1.2.0 of Hikari Lightbulb came out, which actually changed the way this worked a little bit. So you can now do it like this on screen now. It will still work the old way, but this is kind of a slightly nicer way you can do it if you want to. I just wanted to point out that was a thing that changed. So yeah, I'll just get back to the rest of it now. For optional ones as well, you have to do this kind of weird stuff, and then we set the default values here. So the default set number of sides is 6, the default bonus is 0. You have to do all this, otherwise you'll end up getting an error. It's really weird, but that's just kind of how it is at the moment. And then we do some standard validation, if the number is greater than 25 and if the size is greater than 100, Discord doesn't handle that for you, so you have to do it. And then we just have our rolls, which is just randomly rolling a number between 1 and a number of sides for a range number, and then we do this calculation when we add them all up, add the bonus, and then we sum everything up, and then we send the message. So if I quickly launch the bot to show you that, so we have Python, and then you have also optimization flags with Hikari too. So you have a single capital O, which is kind of a single optimization, or a double capital O, which optimizes it further. And basically this just helps speed it up just that little bit extra. And then you do -m and then Lightbulb bot. There we go. I don't know why it's got rid of the P there. Oh yeah, I need to actually install everything. Requirements, and then because I'm on WSL, even though I'm on Windows, as you can see down the side, because I'm on WSL, I can just install the Unix stuff, and this will install the UV loop and everything. There's quite a lot of libraries that get used if you do it like this, but it's all worth it because Hikari is very quick, and you get this nice little banner as well. And then if I load Discord up, and then I go into the tutorial bot server, because this is where the bot that I'm running is, and you do /dice, and then I say I do 15 dice, I could just send that, and it will send 15 dice rolled by 6 sides. I can provide the number again, so maybe like 10. Now I can bring up the optional ones here, so I can add a bonus, perhaps of 5, and then have the sides maybe at 10. And all these, as you can see, we have the bonus at the end. We have rolls of 8 to show that it's higher than 7. It works pretty much as intended, and this is all done inside of the callback. So actually, I'll show you real quick what happens if you try and put something that is a number in there. The whole thing, it does this shaking thing. It's so violent. I've always thought it's very violent, but it does the whole shaking thing when there's an error. As you can see, input a valid integer. So all that is handled on Discord's end, not yours, which is actually really nice. That's probably the best thing about /commands, if I'm being honest. But there is another quick example that I want to show you, which is user info. So I'm only going to go over this really quickly, because it works more or less the same, to be honest. So as you can see, our class is called user info. This time we pass a hikari.optiontype.user, and Discord, I believe, actually verifies that this is a user ID to a certain extent. I'm not sure how strong that is in Lightbulb. I know Tangent has extra measures to make sure that the user is in the server, but I'm not sure if Lightbulb is the same, because it's a bit lower level with /commands. And then, here's the description again. Enable guilds is the same. And then the important thing to note here is that it returns a string of the target ID, so you do need to convert it back out. Although thankfully it is identical to how you would do it in discord.py. I'm not really sure why it returns a string, but there you are. And then if the target can't be resolved, then they're not in the server, and you can just send that. And then all this other stuff is just kind of standard. There's another gap there. That's super weird. And another gap there. I thought I got rid of all these gaps. I don't know. Yeah, this is just kind of a lot of example stuff. I'm not really going to be going over this in detail. But if you load the bot again, we can see. So I can get user information on me, and I have the discriminator bot, the number of roles, which is wrong. I don't know why that is. That's normally correct. That was correct yesterday, so I don't necessarily know what's going on there. You have the number of roles down there. Is it just because it didn't cache itself properly? It might be. I don't know. I'm not sure what's going on there. What is going on there? Is it doing something? No. Oh right. Okay. Yeah. Sorry, that was a programming error on my bad. I forgot. I moved the @everyone remover up here. So basically, if you do it like this, it will get all the roles that aren't @everyone, and then I was still subtracting one down here to accommodate for the fact that @everyone was in there. So yeah, that was my bad. That wasn't Lightbulb being bad. But we're even using the new time syntax. Ooh, how fancy. All right, quick jump cut. This isn't editing me. This is me after I finished recording the video. I just realized I forgot to talk about how Lightbulb covers, standard message commands. So I want to do a really quick explanation of that using their docs. So this is how you would do it without plugins. So, you have this bot command. I'm pretty sure this is essentially identical to discord.py in this example. The only difference is it's ctx.respond and not ctx.send. So that might actually be the only real difference. You pass your token in here, intents in here, prefix in here as well. And then you just kind of, create a really simple command, and that's how you do that. With plugins and stuff, it's again, very similar to cogs. So you'd have your import Lightbulb, you'd have your class plugin, you pass it Lightbulb.plugin, and then you have this load. So this load is like the setup from discord.py, and the variable name does matter. Otherwise it won't work. And then, you just have your own commands in here. So, if I just show you this example real quick as well. So we have the dice command here in the plugin. So lightbulb.command name equals dice, and you have your aliases too. And then the logic here is slightly different. This is kind of an older command. But, this is basically the equivalent for those looking to do, a cog type thing. You don't have to do an init. You can if you want, but you don't have to. And then you can have a load and unload as well, which is something that discord.py doesn't really do natively. I think you can unload stuff, but I think it works differently. So in this one, you can, have custom behavior. This might actually be optional. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, I just wanted to quickly show it off because I said I would. And now we'll go back to, slash commands, and I'll show off what tangent is capable of. So I want to go over the same thing again with tangent. And obviously, I'll skip over some stuff. You don't need to hit everything again. But tangent does work quite a bit differently. So init only has the version number in here. And that is because our GIL ID is here. And there's a very good reason for that. So, we have the same syntax. We have all the same stuff with the UV loop. And then the create bot as well, we load the token in the same, it's all well and good. However, tangent works a lot differently with the way it does a bot. So it doesn't actually subclass the bot in and of itself. You have to create a base instance of a gateway bot from the Hikari library, and we're passing in our token and our intents. You don't actually need a prefix. I'm not passing in a prefix. I think you can set one. You can do like clients. Actually, I'll talk about the client first before I do all that. So then you create a client. Tangent.client.from gateway bot, and you pass the bot. And this you don't have to save the client anywhere because this function automatically attaches the client to the bot. So you don't need to worry about linking the two together. That's all handled for you. And then this set global commands with the GIL ID is what I was talking about with Lightbulb. But in Tangent, you can set all of them to the same thing at once. You can still do them on a command-by-command basis. But in Tangent, you can actually set all of them all at once. And you don't need to worry about that. So that's good. And in the master branch, so in 2.0, you can actually load all your modules as path objects, which is quite nice. So this works. It can work the same as discord.py. in the way that it takes like a single string of an import string. It can also take a list of import strings, or it can take, or it's not a list actually, it's a series of arguments. Or it could take a series of path arguments that kind of that point to the relevant files. So this path stuff is the same thing we were doing in Lightbulb, but actually we were gathering the commands all together, except Tangent just kind of handles all the importing and the setting up for you in this instance, and then we return the bot and everything. So if we go into the modules, and they are officially called modules, so that's why the library is called modules. I don't think Lightbulb has a standard for this. If it does, then do let me know. But yeah, and then we have the dice, and as you can see, it's a lot different. So Tangent, instead of working like Discord.py, it works a lot like a library called Click. So Click is a CLI app builder, or a command line interface app builder, which relies almost entirely on the usage of decorators, and Tangent was built off of that model. So we create a component up here. We don't even need to subclass it; this just works. And then we have our loader down here. So this is very similar to the setup function from Discord.py. Just the name of this doesn't actually matter. You can call this whatever you want. It generally doesn't matter at all. And then you have, your component with /command. So this sets up a /command interface. These three are how you set the options. So you have, the name of it, what in Lightbulb is the description or the help. And then, with the int /command, you have this default here. If you pass the default, it will automatically set the default value for you, as well as set it as an optional automatically. So if you pass the default, it will, automatically tell Discord, this is an optional, we don't need to pass a value in this, which is actually quite nice. And then this is where you kind of set up the /command, so you have the name and then you have the help as well. And then the rest of the logic is identical. The actual logic inside the commands is just the same. The ctx.respond, I'm pretty sure, is completely identical, despite it being a different class. But you pass the number, the size, and the bonus in. So in a way, /commands are more similar to Discord.py in Tangent than in Lightbulb, but message stuff is more similar in Lightbulb. And you load the component in. If we load that up, Tangent bots, there we go. And then if I just run dice again, so it's exactly the same command. It just does it, exactly the same thing. You have sides. Oops, I've got to use tab in here. Sides equals 5. And it does the same verification as well, so you have it as a valid integer or whatever. And you also don't have to deal with getting the values back out of the context, because they're just passed into the function. You don't have to deal with conversions or anything like that. It all just kind of works. And the info as well. So you do still have to do this stuff. This stuff is just kind of stuff you have to do. And then I've got to change this down here as well. Whee! This is the same as the other one as well. So you have the /command, you have the with member /command, and there is with user. However, member does extra checks kind of on its own, so that's all part of Tangent. That actually makes sure that the member is part of the server, and if it doesn't, it throws an error. So you have to handle that in your error handler, which I'm not showing off in this video. But in Lightbulb, you kind of raise your own errors, I suppose, if you wanted to do that. But again, you have the name of the variable and the help, and then you have the name of the command and the help for it. And then all the logic is, again, exactly the same. You have the loader down here. So the loader is in every single module. This is necessary, much like Discord.py, otherwise you'll get an error. But yeah, so if we load that, you'll see that it just runs the same. /user info, if I get one on me again, then it will do exactly the same thing. Now that I fixed the bug, it actually outputs the right number of roles, but again, it's entirely identical. So yeah, hopefully that gives you an idea on which library you would want to use for your /commands, and also kind of a basic idea of how syntax works with Hikari. So even all the base bot creation is different per library. So I would recommend trying both out and just seeing which you like better. You have enough time. But as I said before, if you would prefer to have standard message functionality and then implement /commands later, then use Lightbulb, because that has a more Discord.py-esque version for you to use. But yeah, that's all I wanted to talk about with Hikari, with all the intro and stuff. This is all in a GitHub repository as well in the comments. So if you just want, this text reference, then you can have that. It's all like heavily commented with basically the same information I had in this video. So that's a really good reference to look at if you want to compare the two, or just kind of want to see how stuff is working, or you want to experiment with certain stuff, build on top of it, etc., all that stuff. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below, or you can join the Discord server using the link in the description, or you can join the Hikari Discord server using the other link in the description. I'd also like to thank my amazing patrons on screen now. £1 a month and you can be on this screen too, and I will see you next time for when I do something else. I don't really know what that's going to be. My video plans, I'm just kind of going whenever I feel like right now. So if you want something, then put it in the description, or sorry, put it in the comments and I might do it. But yeah, I will see you for whatever that is.